Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and I'm back here with more stories to read you from Reddit. Reddit Am I the Asshole is the place where you can post your stories about you and other people, and Redditors will show up to tell you who's the asshole. I feel like this has been a somewhat popular subject on YouTube lately, so let's do another one. Let's get started with stories from Reddit Am I the Asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my father's affair partner that she married him and she can take care of him now that he can no longer take care of himself? My father was not a very warm or caring father when my siblings and I, all in our 20s now, were young. I am the youngest and was only 8 when we all found out he was having an affair with a woman he worked with. The affair only came out because the affair partner grew tired of our father staying married to our mom and showed no signs of being willing to divorce mom for her. So she took measures into her own hands and confronted mom with the truth. My siblings and I were all home at the time. It blindsided my mom significantly because while she knew our father worked a lot, he had always been attentive as a spouse to her, and he could play pretend that he was invested in his kids. My mom's marriage to him fell apart, and she moved out of his house with us, and we started anew. My father fought for shared custody. I often wonder if this was to punish us or something, because it's not like he had any role in our lives at all. But he was awarded shared custody. His affair partner threw herself into this role of stepmom, and she acted like she was some new person who had no bad history with us/our family. She even ignored the fact that she destroyed our mom's heart right in front of us. We did not like her, and within 2 years she told our father she no longer wanted us around anymore because all we did was bully her and make her feel like she was some unimportant mistake he made. And she was also bothered by the fact that none of us would acknowledge her as our father's wife or our stepmom. When asked, we would always say she was our father's affair partner. This wasn't something she wanted following her around or thrown in her face a lot. So we had no contact with our father for more than a decade. I'm 22 now. Recently, the affair partner made contact to inform us that our father had suffered several health complications and he is now ill and disabled. My oldest brother confirmed this is true and is aware of which hospital he's currently in. None of us had any interest in seeing him, and we expressed this, though not to her, to our father's sister. His affair partner decided my siblings would never give in, but she knew a much younger me had a hope for a better relationship with my dad. And she tried to say she couldn't care for him and the 4 young children they have under the age of 7 and that my family needs me. I told her clearly that they were not my family and that she married him, so she was responsible for caring for him now that he cannot care for himself, and I told her I would not help and did not care how tough it was for them. Her response was full of anger, but she, in not so many words, called me an asshole. I ignored her, but she again insulted me and claimed that I was sick and cruel for my stance. Am I the asshole? Oh, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Well, good thing I saved those. Looks like the post got removed. There's absolutely no obligation to take in a family member who has treated you terribly and left your family. My father walked out 40 plus years ago and never looked back at his children, ever. I'm 57 now, and if I received a call my elderly father was on Skid Row, my response would be, oh well, then promptly hang up. Fuck being responsible for that useless shit. I took care of my mother till her last breath while she died of cancer. I'd take care of my husband of 36 years and my adult daughter. I will take care of my in-laws. But my biological father can fuck off. I'm just reminded of Bob Chandler, Chris Chan's dad. I don't know if there was cheating, probably was, but he left his wife and kids to get with Barb and have Chris. And you can bet his kids didn't come see him when he was dying. Chris didn't even go see him if I remember correctly. Am I the asshole for not allowing alcohol at my wedding? I, 25 female, am getting married May of next year. I'm currently planning the reception, and I've already secured a venue. I was having a discussion with my fiancée, 27 female, about possible food options. Catering or cooking, what types of food, buffet style are served, etc. And my mother, 60 female, and one of my aunts, 56 female, were visiting. They threw in some thoughts and advice, as they've had weddings, which I really appreciate. The topic of drinking came up, and my aunt asked what kind of cocktails we'd be serving. I told her we wouldn't be serving alcohol at the wedding. She was shocked and asked what everyone was going to drink. I told her there would be water, sweet tea, lemonade, fruit punch, and soda available. My aunt said that having soda was a bad idea because it's so unhealthy, and so is sweet tea and overly sugary lemonade and fruit punch. I told her if she was so concerned about sugar content, she could stick with water, and we're planning on having plenty of fresh fruit she could add to it. We'd also have unsweet tea for my diabetic family members, or they're welcome to request or bring a desirable alternative. She asked why alcohol couldn't be a request. I told her I simply didn't want to serve any at my wedding. My fiancé and I would be financially responsible for the purchase, and alcohol would frankly be out of our budget, and we would feel responsible for their actions. She asked if she and the other drinkers of the family could bring their own beer, and said it really wouldn't be a party without one. I said no, again because it's my wedding, and fiancé and I would feel responsible for drunk guests. We also want to have a wedding that's fun and happy because everyone there loves each other and is happy to celebrate their family/our union. Gotta be honest with you, this would not make me want to go to the wedding. She said it was already a shame I wasn't getting married in a church, and the least I could do was make up for it with a good reception. I told her if she can't go one evening without drinking, then maybe she's the one with a problem. At this point, my mom jumped in and told me I need to apologize. I said no, I don't appreciate how my aunt has spoken to me and she needs to leave. They ended up going, but my aunt complained the next day on Facebook about my dry wedding and said she wasn't going to torture herself driving an hour and a half to my venue just to have a bad time. She also explained how the conversation went the day before and said I called her a drunk for being healthy. I've been getting a lot of messages, some supportive, some on the fence, and some very angry that I want to ruin a good reception by acting like it's the Prohibition era. I'm honestly confused here. Am I the asshole? Edit. My aunt's health comment wasn't about beer, it was about wine. She believes a glass a day is important for maintaining health, and she drinks at least one glass every single day. She's also hopped on the intermittent fasting trend, so I take her health advice with a grain of salt. Especially since she probably meets the medical threshold for alcoholism. Also, another reason I don't want alcohol is because this is a specifically kid-friendly event. I want my little cousins and nieces/nephews and my fiancé's younger family members to be able to attend. I don't feel comfortable hosting an all-ages event with lots of alcohol and drunk adults present. A lot of my family members do not behave when they're drunk. I think it used to be commonly passed around knowledge that a glass of wine a day was healthy, but it turned out to not be true. Oh well, I wasn't drinking for my health anyway. I feel like at weddings, the people getting married are too stressed and busy to have fun, so the guests are supposed to, so everyone remembers it fondly. A lot of people don't even like seeing their entire family, unless they have a few drinks first. Edit 2. For those saying I should make the dry part clear in advance, I planned on having the entire food and drink situation for the wedding figured out and announced 6 months before the date. I wasn't going to spring it on people last minute. Everyone was going to be informed and then further reminded on save the dates and the invites. I'm also not anti-alcohol or something. I like drinking. There are just too many concerning factors and liabilities with allowing it at my wedding, including the incredibly expensive cost of providing the alcohol. Edit 3. To everyone suggesting a cash bar, that would invariably make this situation worse. My relatives expect me to provide alcohol for free. If I tell them they have to pay, they will complain more. One of my uncles was arrested last year because the price of his favorite brand of beer went up and he stole his next 12-pack because he deserved it after how much money he gave to that company. He still thinks the cops in the stores were in the wrong. Edit 4. Very tired of people not reading or simply ignoring what I've already made clear and twisting my words. I've explained my case. Most of you agree with me. I am done responding to comments and explaining/answering questions. I mean, do what you want at your own wedding, but it sounds like some people are probably not going to show up. Here's a comment from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Old wedding DJ checking in. It's cool if you want to have an alcohol-free wedding. I DJ'd quite a few over the years, but you need to understand something. You need to make sure it is spelled out on the save the dates and/or the invitations that this is an alcohol-free wedding. And this is why. More than once, I DJ'd a dry wedding where the bride and groom said nothing. Once people ended up at the reception and realized it was dry, the vast majority ate some food and then left, leaving the bride and groom hurt that they paid all this money for just a handful of people to stick around at the party. A lot of people, especially parents and busy people, go to weddings because they are big parties. And when you are busy with work and kids and living life, it can be hard to carve out some time to let loose and get drunk. And yes, a lot of people work hard and play hard. That doesn't make them bad people, it just means that when they do have free time, they want to have as much fun as they can, which usually involves alcohol. So when these people find out there is no alcohol after having not been told there is no alcohol, they get irrationally angry and they bail. One wedding I DJ'd, I found out after the fact that the bulk of the people who left all ended up at the same bar down the road. So here you have the wedding party happening at a local bar, while the bride and groom were trying to enjoy their mostly empty reception hall. That's why it's important to make sure that people know the wedding will be dry, because at least then you can save some money and have a smaller reception at a smaller venue with smaller food budgets. That way you save money and you won't have to feel bad when people bail on you. You'll already know it's going to be a small affair, so you can just enjoy yourselves. Not the asshole, but understand there is a right way and a wrong way to go about doing this. For the people in the back getting married, it's your big day, not theirs, and banning alcohol and not giving +1s are barriers to their enjoyment. You might like the pomp and 7 hours of ceremony, but most people don't. People who don't go to a dry wedding aren't necessarily staying home to drink. They just aren't going to the wedding. You don't have to allow alcohol, but you have to accept that some people will not want to come. Not because they have an alcohol problem, because they have a spending 7 hours with family sober problem. I do feel like a lot of people would probably get mad if you call them an alcoholic. Alright, let's read one more story here. It's in the form of one large paragraph, so I'll fix that myself. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my fiance's daughter's boyfriend move into my home? My 42-year-old fiance, 37-year-old, wants her daughter, 18-year-old in high school, to move back home being my house. My fiancé had personal issues for the last 8 years and lost custody of her daughter at the beginning of those issues before I met her. For the past 5 years, she/we have worked really hard to get her back on track and now doing very well. So well, in fact, that her daughter, who was about to turn 18 at the time, decided it was the right time to come live with Mom, at my house. Well, that lasted all of a month when her daughter decided she was old enough to make her own decisions. Decided to move out and in with her boyfriend, 20 years old, despite the pleas of her mom. It was an absolute mess. Hateful and horrible things were said. Just bad. She moved into where her boyfriend lives, and without saying too much, it's not a good place and some sketchy stuff goes on there. But as daughter said at the time, she's 18 and an adult. We can't stop her. Fast forward 4 months. Daughter and boyfriend don't like where they live. Mom now wants her daughter to come back home, but she wants her to be able to bring her boyfriend too. She won't come home with her boyfriend, Mom says. I say no. Daughter can come home, but she's not bringing her boyfriend. Absolutely no. I don't agree with the situation at all. Daughter is still in high school, has no business moving in with a guy, and has made her own decision. I'm not going to be part of it or support it. Daughter, yes. Boyfriend, no. Not that it matters, but it's my home. I pay every bill. I ask for no support. I get no financial help from my fiancé, but I give support. Not that it matters, I'd still say no to the boyfriend, even if she were my own blood daughter. This decision seems like the deal breaker between me and my fiancé. She says we should help them out for a few months, help them get started. I still say no. I'm not the cause nor the answer to the situation. By denying daughter's boyfriend to live at my house, she will not come home. Mom thinks I'm an asshole who could have helped them get out of a bad situation and get her daughter home. Now I'm questioning, am I the asshole? Obviously not. Letting these people move in sounds like a horrible idea, and I'm not even sure why the mother wants it. And there's no way to let them stay for a few months or something like that. You'd never get rid of them. It'd be like having Cake Puncher living in your pool house. If you haven't heard that story, by the way, you should probably check it out. This is your house. Daughter has already tried living with you, and things ended up in a shit show. You know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, right? Time for daughter to learn that decisions can have consequences. If they're so adult, boyfriend is 20 and can work. Daughter can get a part-time job. If you and fiancé have to support them, you can top up their rent or groceries, but for the love of God, keep them out of your house, or they'll be there for the next 10 years. That's not actually the definition of insanity, but aside from that, I agree with the comment. This is just not something that's reasonable to ask of him. Anyway, I think that's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the stories or about my content in general, make sure you let me hear it in the comments. I'll be reading those while the video's new. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more Reddit stories and also videos about internet weirdos. There's something in particular I want to talk about. There was this 30-year-old man who went on to kiwi farms to try to get them to attack a 14-year-old who was trolling him on Genshin Impact discords. So of course they made fun of him instead. I don't know if it's enough of a story for a full video, but I do want to talk about it in some sense. Big thanks also to my awesome patrons who support me more directly over on Patreon. It helps me be able to do this, and I really appreciate the help. Have a great day, everyone, and try not to be the drunkest person at the wedding.